What that communicated to me is I was about to get assaulted.
Is it possible that Tyrone raised his hand to protect himself from your punches?
Can you hold up your hand high so we can see, show the judge exactly, point where it was that he bit you? Would you open up your mouth and stick your wrist in your mouth?
Say again?
Could you open your mouth and stick your wrist in your mouth?
Hey, what's up guys? Long Island Audit here, back again with another video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at an incident that occurred in Phoenix, Arizona, where the Phoenix Police Department has yet again brutalized and violated the constitutional rights of the people they are supposed to serve. Let's get into it.
Video showing two Phoenix police officers immediately going after a deaf man with cerebral palsy, then repeatedly punching and tasering that man. Tonight, our investigation into this case continues.
You'll hear directly from the two main officers involved, but before we get to that, we again want to show body camera footage of this full incident. It is violent and it is difficult to watch.
Everybody stop where you're at.
I want you all to pay very close attention to how quickly this officer escalates this incident.
Have a seat.
Unfortunately, fellow patriots, I will not be able to show you the incident in its entirety. It is very graphic, and YouTube will take down this video and censor it so no one will be able to see it. So I will leave a link to the original video in the description below if you'd like to watch the entire interaction.
Phoenix says the arrest is now under internal investigation.
But that hasn't stopped those officers from going to court and making sure that man was officially charged with assault and resisting arrest. Here's ABC 15 Chief Investigator Dave Biscobee.
We were in court for what's called a preliminary hearing. Basically, that's a hearing to decide if there's enough evidence for charges to go forward. And that means the two main officers had to take the stand under oath.
Since that day,
This is Officer Benjamin Harris, and this is Officer Kyle Sue. They're in court to testify against Tyrone McAlpin. He's deaf, he has cerebral palsy, and he's here for a judge to decide if there's probable cause for his arrest on August 19th, 2024.
Have a seat.
So why did officers go after Tyrone? It's because a Circle K called about this guy. His name is Derek, and while Derek was being removed, he pointed at Tyrone walking across the street and claimed Tyrone had assaulted him.
And you didn't confirm Derek's story with any of the witnesses inside?
No.
Dude, why don't you wait here first?
Derek's story would end up being false, but in that moment, the officers decided to take Derek's word at face value, leave him, and go after Tyrone.
We already established that when you pulled into the parking lot and yelled at Tyrone, he didn't respond to you, correct?
Correct.
Did you check to see if he had headphones in?
I didn't notice.
Okay. Did you check to see if there was a reason why he couldn't hear you?
No.
Did you try to wave him down?
No.
During your initial interaction with Tyrone, you wrote that Tyrone raised his hands. Can you describe what that looked like?
Yeah, he raised them in a manner that appeared to me he was going to use them to punch me.
So he raised his hands like this?
No.
Can you demonstrate again, please?
Yeah, he raised them in a manner that appeared to be ready to strike me. So what that communicated to me is I was about to get assaulted, not that someone was giving up.
Oh, come on. Did this officer really think he was about to get physically assaulted? His own body camera footage shows Tyrone with his hands up like this, not in a fighting position. Absolutely ridiculous.
Now, is it possible that Tyrone raised his hand to protect himself from your punches?
That's not what his body language communicated to me.
I'm asking you if it's possible.
I
Are
don't
you
know
saying
if
it's not possible? Okay.
I don't know if it's possible. So just underneath my ring finger at that.
If you've noticed the cast on Officer Harris's hand, it's because he broke his finger arresting Tyrone.
He broke his finger brutalizing Tyrone.
And at the end of his testimony, the prosecutor asked Officer Harris how all of this could have been avoided.
the defendant had just put his hands down or said, I can't hear, or I need to write, or something like that. What would you have done?
I would have had him sit down, made motions with my hands to have him sit down, and then I would have gotten a pen,
You wouldn't have
paper and pen out for him.
You wouldn't have punched him in the head and knocked him to the ground and tasered him?
No.
Now, let's get to the testimony from Officer.
Now, come on. Are we all watching the same body camera footage here? That officer gave Tyrone zero chance to comply with any orders. He can't hear him in the first place. He's deaf. But even if he could hear, he gave him zero chances to comply with any orders. he immediately went hands-on and began attacking him. The video footage is very clear.
Officer Sue.
As I was going to pull in the park, I looked over and observed the defendant actively swing at Officer Harris, and then as I was putting my car in the park.
I love how they keep putting the body camera footage side by side so that way it can disprove all of these officers' lies. They're under oath. They should be charged with perjury.
I jumped out and ran over there.
Sue's body camera fell off, but during the arrest, he testified that Tyrone bit his hand.
Can you hold up your hand high so we can see, show the judge exactly, point where it was that he bit you?
Right there.
Okay.
There's no body camera footage that shows the bite.
Very convenient.
And here's what happened when Tyrone's attorneys asked the officer to go through the video.
Anywhere in there?
Nope.
And stop at the moment when he says Tyrone bit him.
Right there.
The moment Officer Sue pinpointed is when the other officer's camera pans up and you can't see Tyrone. The defense asked Sue if it was possible that he cut or scraped his hand on Tyrone's mouth or the ground while choking him. But Officer Sue said no and denied using a chokehold.
Is that your arm there, directly around his throat?
The one on the bottom?
Yes.
That's my arm.
Okay. And that is around Tyrone's throat, correct?
Clearly.
Looks too hard to tell.
So how is this not a chokehold?
When I think of a chokehold, I think of two arms from the same person.
In a bizarre moment, the prosecution then got back up to prove Tyrone bit the officer, first showing pictures, then asking for a demonstration.
Would you open up your mouth and stick your wrist in your mouth?
Say again?
Could you open your mouth and stick your wrist in your mouth?
This is actually pathetic. This officer, this grown man, is putting his wrist in his mouth because another grown man told him to. At first, he didn't want to. He said, what are you talking about? Put my wrist in my mouth. But of course, he's a good order taker, so he's just going to comply and put his wrist in his mouth, looking like an idiot. It proves absolutely nothing, as you'll see right now.
And then pull it out to the side. Did you just cut your arm?
Objection, Your Honor. This is extremely speculative and really doesn't.
Overruled. I just watched him do it. That's not speculation. He's demonstrating.
Officer, did you just cut your arm when you did that?
I did not.
At this time, I do believe the state has presented sufficient evidence to.
All right, so I completely understand that probable cause is a very low standard in the criminal justice system. But shame on this judge, Judge Nick Saccone. Are you kidding me? The video is clear. I know these officers are lying under oath, which you should be holding them in contempt of court for because we're watching the video. Tyrone did not take up a fighting stance. He had zero time to comply with any directives or orders. The officer immediately got out of the car, went hands-on, threw him on the ground, and they both beat him and tased him. He had no idea what was going on because he's deaf. He couldn't hear them. But even if he could, he had no time to react. Imagine if these weren't officers. They were just two adult males who got out of their car, immediately grabbed you, threw you on the ground, beat you, tased you. It's insane. They gave him no time to comply. He was deaf. I understand that the officers didn't know he was deaf at the time, but that's really irrelevant. They gave him no chance to comply before brutally beating him and tasing him. It's on video. He had zero chances to comply. He did not put up a fighting stance. It is hands up like this. The judge just watched this entire body camera footage that we did. Even if you take the officer at his word and that Tyrone resisted and he bit him, he had every right to do that. Two men jump out of their vehicle and begin to assault you and tase you. That's called self-defense.
The judge found there was probable cause for the criminal case to move forward against Tyrone. The judge didn't give an explanation, but the ruling means Tyrone
Of course he didn't give an explanation.
still faces felony charges of aggravated assault and resisting arrest.
Mr. McAlpin, this will conclude today's hearing. I'll have you stepped over to my bailiff just to sign for those release conditions, but good luck to you moving forward in your case.
Again, Phoenix is not commenting on the arrest because they say it's under investigation. But this case is a sensitive one. We've learned the DOJ is now aware of the case. And it's important to remember that the arrest happened after the DOJ released its historic investigation into Phoenix PD. And the feds say they want to put the department under federal oversight.
All right, fellow patriots, let me just reiterate. This incident happened after the Department of Justice released a huge comprehensive report showing instance after instance of the Phoenix Police Department violating we the people's rights, retaliating against we the people for exercising our First Amendment right, unlawfully arresting them. There was so much misconduct uncovered by the Department of Justice. It's in a comprehensive report. I've covered it on this channel many times. The Phoenix Police Department is corrupt, tyrannical, and out of control. It's all documented. Instead of de-escalating when contacting Tyrone, hey sir, how are you? Can I talk to you for a second? They immediately jump out of the vehicle and attack him and throw him to the ground. Nothing else. There was no de-escalation used. This is not policing. Tyrone is innocent until proven guilty. I understand that the officers wanted to investigate a complaint that was made by somebody who was being trespassed from a property. I don't think that's a reliable source, but, you know, Tyrone could have assaulted this man, so they have to investigate. That doesn't mean they need to jump out like gangbangers and throw a man to the ground without knowing anything other than a complaint. That's not right. And if they would have just de-escalated and handled this differently, they would have known of Tyrone's disabilities. They would have known that he couldn't hear them. They could have got a pen and a paper and figured this out. He was not running away from them. He was just scared. You can see it in the video. Maybe this wouldn't have happened if the Phoenix Police Department was held accountable, because it's one thing writing a comprehensive report about all these civil rights violations and abuses of power and corruption, everything that's going on in that report, but no one was held accountable. Not one officer has been indicted or charged. Not one officer has been suspended or fired. There is no consequences, no accountability. And without accountability, this will continue to happen, just like it happened here to Tyrone. It's absolutely despicable. This judge should have immediately dismissed this case after watching the body camera footage. Now, at the time of this recording, the prosecutors have dropped all criminal charges against Tyrone, which they should. Again, even if he did bite one of the officers or resist, he was being assaulted immediately. No chance to comply. And he was innocent of any crime. It's absolutely insane. It blows my mind that people can say that this was justified. He had no time to comply. Those officers wanted to put hands on him, and they did. So even if he did bite him, it's self-defense. You have the right to defend yourself. I don't care if it's a law enforcement officer or the president of the United States. If another human being puts their hands on you unlawfully, without cause, you have a right to defend yourself. Plain and simple. I'm not going to hold my breath for these officers being charged with assault and battery, so that way it serves as a deterrent for future law enforcement officers. I think it's pretty simple. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, stay safe. God bless. I'll see you in the next video. Long Island Audit. Peace.